Hello everybody, welcome back to another video for Introductory Data Preprocessing. So in the previous video, we've been talking about one-hot encoding and how do you deal with categorical features and essentially numerize them such that your computer is understanding numbers and not really forced to understand semantic meanings of words. So to wrap up this workshop, we're going to do a final cleanup. So what we'll do, like for the time being, is we're going to drop all features with remaining NaNs, and we're also going to get rid of any object types. It's just bad in practice. That's generally bad in practice, but we'll save time here for the sake of this workshop. So we're going to drop any column that has NaNs. So that's what this code is doing. So drop now is dropping NaN values. Axis equals 1 means go along the column. And we're going to do this as an in-place fix so that we don't have to make new variables. And this code here will allow us to filter out D types of object. So we're going to remove all object types. And voila, this is your newly processed Titanic dataset with your one-hot encoding done and, all that. So this is the dataset we might want to use like for our ML model. So let's say we want to run a simple one variable linear regression, right? So linear regression doesn't have to be one feature against an output, right? We can run like any number of features like against an output and do a linear regression that way. So what we can do is something called feature selection. So feature selection allows you to take the features that matter the most to you. And that's usually based on your problem statement. So feature selection is keep the most informative features. Feature extraction is what we've talked about in the feature engineering section of the video, where we're taking existing features and creating new features using combinations or initializations of old features. So feature extraction is more of creating new features using existing features through some sort of combination. Feature selection is more of keeping the most informative features. So what are the columns we end up working with? So when we print df.columns, we'll see here that these are the columns we get. So that takes care of that. The last thing I wanted to talk about in this video was dimensionality reduction exercise. So in the real world, you might have even bigger data than this Titanic dataset, which is considered relatively small. What if we had a dataset with millions of features? What do we do, and how do we reduce this dimensionality? Can you think of reasons why having high dimensionality is problematic? So one thing you'll notice is when we run this, right, in our dataset, right, we have like, tons and tons of columns, right? And what we're going to do is we're going to reduce this dimensionality by taking the columns we care about, right? So that's more of this feature selection endpoint. So that's why dim reduced is going to be a dataset with fewer columns when compared to our preprocessed dataset right here. And if you look through here, we can actually see the number of columns, right? So we can do this Titanic dot shape. So we'll see here that approximately 160 columns are here in this preprocessed Titanic dataset, but we don't want all of them. We just want to take the columns we care about. So we'll do feature selection right here. And this is our dimensionally reduced data. One thing that's a really big disclaimer here is it's up to you to preprocess your data in the way that suits your application. You really need to understand your problem, and there's really more than one way of preprocessing your data set to achieve your objective. But it might make sense to preprocess data to smooth out irregularities, correct errors, or maybe just make sure that you're having information that you need and not just having extraneous information that you don't care about. But at the end of the day, it depends on your problem, and it's really up to you to be able to preprocess data like wisely. And these techniques are one of many techniques out there to preprocess your data. There's a lot more out there, and I highly implore you to look on documentation in pandas and other similar libraries to preprocess your data in informative ways. Till then, thank you so much for joining me in the Introductory Data Preprocessing workshop. I look forward to seeing you in the next workshop. Have a good rest of your day.